Forensic science shed light on cold cases. Assalamualaikum and hi, you are from Group 5. Our group members are Wanuliana Wanzin, Legasini Lachimanan, Kavanitha Morali, and Norashire have been disagreed. What is a cold case? The definition of cold case is an unsolved criminal investigation, such as homicide or abduction, that police have stopped investigating due to lack of evidence. Solving crimes requires evidence, suspects, and clear witnesses. Without these factors, cases can become cold. Characteristics of cold cases. It is inseparable to the difficulties of process of solving cold cases because it involves some elements of mystery and passage of times. The first one, mystery. For violent crimes, the evidence are so hard to find, and murderers who might change their location become a threat to public safety and then unidentified people with no IDs or any other easy ways to distinguish them also can be cold case perpetrators. And the second one, the passage of time. Crimes from decades ago didn't have the benefits of advanced technology to locate an original suspect or identify a sex offender easily.
Next, we are going to discuss some examples of how forensic science shed light on cold cases. And for the first case, it was the Hwasong serial murders that happened in Seoul, South Korea. In 1980s, Hwasong was a rural area in south of Seoul. Hwasong was a mountainous area full of rice paddies, fields, and forests. Moreover, not many people lived there. Between 1986 and 1991, 10 women were murdered in Hwasong. The victims, all women, ranged from their teens to 70s. All were sexually assaulted and strangled with their own clothing, which is garments such as stocking and underwear. And this is what came to be known as the killer's signature. The first to die was a 71-year-old woman. She had gone out one morning in September 1986 and disappeared. Her body was found a few days later. At the time, not much attention was paid to the crime. Only 3 policemen were assigned to the case, but as the months went by, more women disappeared. By the time the fifth body was found in January 1987, which is a teenage girl who had got off a bus and was walking home late at night, then the police realized they were dealing with a serial killer. All 5 cases had occurred within a 2-kilometer radius. Finally, they opened a large-scale investigation, and more than 1.8 million police officers worked on the case. At that time, South Korea had no capacity to conduct a DNA test. Blood type was the only weapon in nabbing a criminal, and in this case, the killer was suspected to have blood type B. As a result, 20,000 men were investigated. Samples such as hair, saliva, fingerprint, and blood samples were taken. But the police lacked the equipment or technology to analyze the samples properly, and even fingerprints were compared manually by the human eye at that time. However, the case finally came to the light in 2019 when advances in DNA analysis allowed investigators to extract samples from evidence, and a match was detected for 4 of the cases. The suspect was a man in his 50s serving a life sentence in Busan prison. After the investigation, the suspect was identified as Lee Chun-jae, born in 1963. He was sentenced to life imprisonment in 1994 for sexual assault and murder. He raped and killed his wife's younger sister and disposed of her body. As for Hwasong cases, DNA comparison was done. DNA from the underwear of one of his victims matched with his, and subsequent evidence linked him to 4 of the 10 killings. The police also revealed the motive of the rape and murder was to relieve his sexual desire.
We'll be looking at the second example of cold cases. This case is regarding a 20-year-old teacher who was murdered back in 1971. Rita Karen was murdered in her apartment in 1971 and her case remained as a mystery for decades. In 2023, the Burlington Police Department announced that Karen's case was finally solved and the man responsible for her death was William D. Roos, who died years ago. 50-year-old evidence helped to solve this case through modern DNA technology and the careful preservation of evidence. Rita Karen is a 20-year-old second grade teacher. She had just moved out of her parents' house for the first time after her 24th birthday to live in a house with three other random roommates. In summer, she was working as a maid in a local motel and taking graduate courses in the University of Vermont. She was violently murdered around midnight on 19 July in her apartment and was found strangled, beaten, and sexually assaulted. She was found dead with curlers in her hand. Even though police officers tried their level best in gathering the sufficient evidence to identify the criminal, but due to poor DNA technology, the criminal was failed to be found. In 2014, several items including a cigarette butt found on the floor next to Karen were sent to the forensic lab in New York City for DNA testing. A male's DNA was detected on the cigarette butt in the testing, but the DNA did not match any of the DNA in the National Database of Felons. It also did not match the known DNA of the police's 13 main suspects. In 2022, more evidence including Karen's clothes was sent to a lab in Florida where they performed new DNA extracting techniques. Detectives even sent the genetic evidence from the cigarette butt to a genealogy company to see if a bigger database of DNA could help to find the killer. Finally, the criminal has been found. The DNA matched to William D. Roos within hours of research through genealogical and public records. He was a suspect for years and was even questioned by the police at the time of murder. He lived in the same apartment building as Karen. At the night of murder, William D. Roos and his wife had an argument and then he went out of his house. He had sexually assaulted Rita Karen and killed her to relieve his anger and to fulfill his sexual desire. Soon after the murder, William D. Roos left his wife, moved to Thailand, and became a monk. He was found dead of a drug overuse in a hotel room in 1986. Finally, the Vermont's oldest cold case has finally been solved with the help of DNA technology.
The impact of unresolved forensic cases on family members can be profound and long-lasting. It is important for family members to seek support during this challenging time. Engaging with support groups, seeking therapy or counseling, and connecting with organizations that specialize in supporting families affected by unresolved forensic cases can provide a much-needed source of comfort, understanding, and guidance. The next slide, I will be explaining about the potential effects. First of all, family members often experience intense emotional turmoil due to the uncertainty and prolonged nature of unresolved forensic cases. They may go through cycles of hope, frustration, anxiety, and despair as they await resolution and justice. The prolonged state of unresolved forensic cases can take a toll on the mental health of family members. They may suffer from chronic stress, anxiety disorders, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD), or other psychological conditions. As for disrupted daily life, the ongoing investigation and lack of closure can disrupt the normal routines and functioning of family members. It may be challenging to focus on work, school, or other responsibilities when their thoughts and energy are consumed by the case. Next, financial strain. Unresolved forensic cases can be financially burdensome for families. Legal fees, investigative costs, and ongoing efforts to seek justice may deplete resources and put a strain on their financial stability. Next, Strained relationships. The stress and emotional toll of an unresolved forensic case can strain relationships within the family. Family members may have differing opinions on how to handle the situation, leading to conflicts and tensions. Family members may feel isolated from their social circles or community due to the unique challenges they face. Others may struggle to understand the complexities of the situation, leading to a sense of loneliness and alienation. Grief and loss. The lack of closure in unresolved forensic cases can perpetuate grief and a sense of loss for family members. They may struggle to find closure and move forward in their healing process without knowing the truth or obtaining justice. Secondary trauma. Family members can experience secondary trauma from being exposed to the details of the case and the emotional distress of their loved ones' experience. Witnessing the suffering and injustice can have a profound impact on their own well being.
We can conclude that investigations that take more than a year without resolution can lead to disastrous effects on the family members of a victim in an sexual assault, unsolved murders, or missing persons cases. The new advancements in forensic science are hoped to enlighten the process to solve these cold cases. The big help of advancement technologies for the future of forensic science such as handheld device to instantly detect compounds, or the use of proteomes for forensic science and a simpler way to view fingerprints. That is all from us, Group 5. Thank you.